Imagine waking up one day, having your usual cereal for breakfast and heading off to work. Here you hit a stack of paperwork left over from yesterday. You take a deep breath and with your coffee in hand, get energized to finish it all. Your daughter calls you to remind you to pick her up at 4 o'clock from school, so you put it in your calendar so you don't forget. After her soccer practice, you head home, and while you're making dinner, you notice a funny tingling feeling on the right side of your head, and then into your tongue, lips, and hand, all on the left side as well. Maybe it was all that garden work on the weekend, and your back is acting up again, but as you move to reach the cutting board, your left leg gives out. This is Kevin's story. Welcome to Revive Life and our show on stroke. There are many symptoms documented associated with stroke, such as numbness, tingling, and difficulties with speech. But what does it really feel like to have a stroke? Although the key symptoms may be the same, each person's experience can be very different. Imagine waking up and feeling odd. Not exactly like feeling like one of your typical headaches is coming on, but just odd without exactly being able to put your finger on what it is. An hour later, while you're using your computer at work, your right hand seems to feel heavy, and you have difficulties moving it from the desktop to your mouse. Then all of a sudden, you can't move your right side, and when you try and speak, it sounds like there's marbles in your mouth with your tongue feeling very heavy, so that the words just come out as gibberish. You can hear everything, and your mind is sharp as ever, but you just can't move the right side of your body. This is Mary's story. Can you imagine being 10 years old and running to the park, giggling to see who can get to the swing set first? Then suddenly, your sight gets blurry, your right leg is unstable, and you know the words, but you just can't seem to get them out. Then you get the worst pain you've ever known, like someone had hit you in the head with a metal baseball bat and then stuck a red-hot poker through your temple. Your mom calls and you try and take another step and then fall. This is Joey's story. Our Revive Life quiz for you today is number 1, do strokes happen only after you're 50? Number 2, is one symptom of a stroke trouble speaking? And number 3, are obesity, diet, diabetes, smoking, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol all risk factors for strokes? Strokes can affect anybody at any age. One of our stroke survivors shared his quote with me one day, "Life is simple, just not easy." So for all of you joining us today, by learning about the signs of stroke, you may be able to help your coworker, your friend at the hockey game, your parent, or your child get immediate attention, as strokes are definitely a medical emergency. Recognizing and responding immediately to the signs of stroke by calling 911 or your local emergency number can significantly improve survival and recovery. If a person is diagnosed with a stroke caused by a blood clot, doctors actually can administer a clot-busting drug called TPA, which is only available at a hospital and has to be used within a few critical hours when the symptoms begin. That's why it's very important to be able to recognize the 5 warning signs of stroke and immediately call 911 or your local emergency number. What are the 5 signs of stroke? Well, number 1, weakness, a sudden loss of strength or sudden numbness in the face, arm, or leg, even if temporarily. Number 2, speaking difficulties, sudden difficulty speaking or understanding, or sudden confusion, even if it's temporary. Don't forget, this can happen when you're speaking to someone on the phone also, and marbles in your mouth is a common description. Number 3, visual problems. Sudden problems with vision, even if temporary. Number 4, headaches. Sudden, severe, and unusual headaches. And number 5, dizziness. Sudden loss of balance, especially with any of the above signs. Please don't forget to share this crucial information with your kids, as sometimes they're the only ones home with you as it happens. That is Dr. Anderson's story. Stay with us to hear more about his and many more journeys back to health. A large part of prevention of strokes is related to your diet. Eating healthy snacks as well as meals is one step forward in prevention, recovery, and is certainly important for all of us. My Revive Life snacks for you today revolve around a sometimes forgotten vegetable, beets. The color red reflects heart health for many reasons, including the phytonutrient beta-lens, which have potent antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and detoxification action. This helps to offer protection against coronary artery disease, stroke, and lower cholesterol. So our snacks for you today are our tardy beet cups, which are made of seeds, beets, spinach, and avocado, as so delicious and nutritious. This one will definitely be in our 101 snack recipe book. Another option, beet chips, which showcase the phytonutrient glycine betaine, which can lower homocysteine levels in the blood. Homocysteine is one of the highly toxic breakdown products which promotes platelet clotting as well as atherosclerotic plaque formation, which in simple terms can clog up the blood vessels. High levels of homocysteine in the blood results in the development of coronary heart disease, stroke, and peripheral vascular disease. Another great option, Beety Detox Smoothie. Raw beets are an excellent source of folates, which are necessary for DNA synthesis in the cell. However, extensive cooking significantly depletes its level in food, so a tip for you is to try and eat beets raw, as the cooking process really does reduce their healing nutrients. Although we feature the root in these recipes, beet greens or tops are an excellent source of more antioxidant-rich nutrients, so don't forget to toss them in your salads. As we head into the break, a reminder that exercise is always important for all of us for health. Research shows that moderate to vigorous activity, aerobic, for about 150 minutes a week can reduce the risk of strokes. Try urban pole walking for 30 minutes 5 times a week. Revivelife and our show on stroke. June is Stroke Health Month and a great time to revamp your menu with all the fresh and local produce that is available to us. Research shows that increasing plant-based foods in your diet can reduce the risk of stroke. The new American plate is actually made up of about 75% plant-based foods like beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables, and less than 25% animal-based foods like meats, fish, eggs, and dairy, which is often the exact opposite of how many people eat. So why not try going vegan for lunch with a bean wrap or a lentil soup? That's a step in the right direction. Our next guest is no stranger to stroke. I remember the day that I was driving away from work, going to lunch as he was entering in the building. And as I looked in my rearview mirror, I thought to myself, it's been a while since we've had a good chat, and I'll have to connect with him tomorrow when he's in. But later that night, I got a call from his wife, who was distraught, telling me that he'd had a stroke. I rushed to the hospital to see what I could do. The doctor said that he wouldn't walk again, but we set in to do acupuncture, physical therapies, and here we are today. Welcome, Dr. Ian Anderson. You're our chiropractor at Revivelife, and I've had the privilege of working with you for over 15 years, I think it was.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it's been quite the journey. I think it would be great if we started out with helping the audience understand really what is stroke.
Okay. Stroke basically is lack of oxygen to an area in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a little frustrated because people think it's my whole brain.
Right.
It's just a certain aspect of the brain.
Yeah, and so depending on what vessel is affected, it determines what will be affected as
That's
the
right.
resultant outcome.
Yes.
And in your story, so I remember seeing you, walking into the office, and then I understand you practiced all day, you went home, your wife was teaching,
Yeah.
and what exactly happened that you remember?
And then I put my kids to bed, and I read my littlest one story, and then I just got changed for bed, and then all of a sudden this side of my body was paralyzed.
Okay.
I didn't have a headache, none of the other signs, I didn't lose consciousness.
And you're a health professional, so you know exactly
Yes.
what's going on.
Yes, I was teasing my wife when she came in. I said, I had a stroke. And she thought I was just joking around because I joke a lot.
Yeah, we know that.
But yeah, but she actually, I actually did have a stroke, and then when I saw her, I could relax, and that's
Yeah.
when I got unconscious.
Okay, so a part of the picture, as I understand as well, is you tried to call 911.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think what you said is you pulled the plug out of the
Yes,
socket.
I cut the hole. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So in the early time period then, before you actually had the symptoms that evening, did you have any,
None.
were you feeling unwell in any way?
No, I felt good all the way through.
Okay, so I think that's the key point, is that we want to remind people that you may just feel perfectly normal and that it can come on quite suddenly.
Yes.
And when you look back at your history, because I know we had a conversation about this, the only thing that stood out was some slight high blood pressure.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And your cholesterol was fine and
Yeah.
everything
I went
else
to my
was
doctor
fine.
2 weeks before
Yeah.
I had the stroke, and he gave me a clean bill
Clean
of
bill
health.
of health.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for people to take very significantly that if you have high blood pressure, if you have high cholesterol, it's not something to be taken lightly.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in the hospital then, what do you remember?
I don't know how long I was unconscious at the hospital. Some people said 3 days, some people said 7 weeks. So somewhere in there is the right answer.
3 days or 7 weeks.
I'm not sure how long it was.
Sure.
But I remember, like, this is from my wife, because I was unconscious.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was naturopaths coming in and helping me, and a registered massage therapist coming in to help me, and my friends helped at the house with food and that kind of stuff. So yes,
Everybody really gathered all together.
and it was really nice, all the support,
I
because
think-
that was kind of key to my
Because then
recovery.
you could relax and you knew
Yeah.
that things were being taken care of and you
Exactly.
could focus on recovery.
Yeah.
One of the key points that it would be good for people to be knowledgeable about is that while you were in the hospital, we were actually able to get in and care.
Yes.
Right away that night, we were there, and the way it works is that you need to consult with what they call the ombudsman, which we did on your behalf, your wife Janice did, and then with that, we were able to come in and give you support with natural healthcare therapies.
Yes.
So we did acupuncture, we used homeopathic remedies, we used physical therapies, and everybody worked collectively as a team.
Yes, and I think that's why I recovered so well.
Exactly.
Is I had all this extra help, support.
So then when you left the hospital, you went into rehab. And
Yeah.
what exactly does rehab mean?
Basically, learning how to talk again, because that was a real frustration. Is I couldn't talk to anybody, and I could think, and I could have ideas, but I couldn't express them. And the other weird thing was smiling. It's amazing how people, when you don't smile, people don't think that you're angry or mean, or they try to stay away from you.
Sure.
And so learning how to smile was kind of the big thing. Other than walking and using my arm and all that was kind of the big thing. I did eventually get that after about six weeks.
And so your recovery time in rehab, how much time did you spend there approximately?
I think it was 8 weeks in the hospital. But I've been still recovering. Like this is 11 years, and I still have little small increments of gains.
Yeah, and I think, we always call you MacGyver,
Yeah.
Dr. MacGyver, because you're always coming up with neat gadgets and things like that that help. And what would you say has been some of the instrumental key things that you've developed that have helped in your recovery?
Breaking how joints move is very, very important, that you just get a little bit of movement of each joint. And then you build it, and then there's machines that you can use to aid the sensation to the brain, and that kind of makes the connection, because you have to get that connection, because the brain can rewire itself, which is kind of neat.
Well, that's the fantastic thing about our bodies, is that we do have the ability to recover.
Yeah.
And now I remember that every Tuesday night, the team would order pizza. That was your big thing.
That was my big vice.
So tell us, okay, so because something like this happens and it's life-changing.
It is.
And tell us how pizza night has changed.
I eat healthier, yes.
Yeah. And do you feel that you ate unhealthy before?
Yes.
Yes?
My snacks were not healthy.
Okay, what would be pretty typical?
Like I'd just go get a burger. I'd go get pizza, a slice of pizza, instead of having that as a treat.
Sure.
Like 1 or 2.
And I mean, pizza doesn't have to be bad, but it's just depending on what you put on it and how it's made and all of that
Mine
other
was
good stuff.
a lot of meat back then.
Okay. So you left rehab, you came home.
Yeah.
How did that impact your family dynamics? Because you had 2 children at that point.
Yep. Yes, it was life changing. My wife just gave birth to our 3rd,